Welcome back to Train Signal's VMware vSphere 5 training. You're watching upgrading from VMware vSphere 4 to vSphere 5 lesson. All right, Eli and David. So you guys have been giving us this whole CBT, but hey, we're still on vSphere 4. How do we upgrade? So this lesson, we're going to dedicate this lesson to upgrading from vSphere 4 to vSphere 5. We're going to talk about the different upgrade steps. What needs to be upgraded, what's the order that it needs to be upgraded in, etc., etc. We're going to talk about the upgrade to Virtual Center 5. Again, how do we upgrade to Virtual Center 5? We're going to talk about the upgrade of Update Manager. So Update Manager is a technology that allows you to upgrade like ESX and the virtual machine hardware and the tools and so on and so forth, download patches. But how do I upgrade the engine to vSphere 5 first so that then I can upgrade the different components? And then we're going to talk about ESX and ESXi upgrades. So if you're on ESX, ESXi today, whether it's 3.5 or 2.5, even with Update 6, how do I go to 4 and 5 or directly to 5? What is the path? And then we're going to talk about the different VM upgrade. The virtual machines also require an upgrade in terms of tools and in terms of the VM hardware. So it's going to be a cool lesson. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first let's talk about the upgrade prerequisites. What do I need to pay attention to? What's going on? How are things going to play out, right? So you want to verify that your host, your ESX, ESXi servers today, the hardware compatibility list meets the hardware that you have. So you want to check the current hardware that you have against the VMware hardware compatibility list to make sure that you can run vSphere 5. Again, vSphere 5 is a 64-bit only installation, so just keep that in mind. You want to verify that your licenses will upgrade to the level of vSphere that you require. So make sure you're licensing in an order. Again, beware of VRAM, right? So make sure you have enough VRAM entitlements based on how much memory you've committed to your virtual machines. So again, make sure you're doing all your due diligence so that your licensing fits what you're about to deploy. Otherwise, do not deploy. So I'm going to stress this. Make sure the licensing is in order. Make sure your hardware is compatible. These two are critical. Then after that, I want you to plan, and then plan some more. Seriously, I don't want you guys to get to a point in the middle of the migration where you have to go back. So pay close attention to this. Pay close attention to every small detail and the impact that it's going to have. What the downtime that's required for every component, what's the effect of that downtime, and when can you do it. Again, you need to also make sure you're testing vSphere 5 against all the different things that tie into it, against the backup software that you're using. Everything that ties into vSphere 5, you want to use it and test for a little while before you actually go through with the deployment. Now, finally, I want you to review the upgrade guide. VMware releases or has an upgrade guide that also, aside from showing you all the different components and how to upgrade them, it gives you scenarios. Towards the end of the PDF, the upgrade guide PDF, there are different scenarios based on the circumstance. Figure out which scenario best fits your current circumstance and take a look at the different steps that are outlined in that guide. Now keep in mind, in our lesson, I can't outline all of the different scenarios, but for the most part, the steps that we're going to do are going to apply, for the most part, across all of the scenarios. However, I want you to be very specific, so whether you're doing an upgrade and you have a cluster in the environment, whether you're doing an upgrade without a cluster in the environment, so on and so forth. If you're moving virtual center servers to a different server, all of these, can play an effect and can have, smaller tweaks here and there that I want you to pay attention to. So go through the upgrade guide, find the scenario that best suits you, and go through these steps. It's a couple of pages, not a big deal. All right, so the upgrade steps. What are we going to do first? Well, first I want to run the vCenter host agent pre-upgrade checker. I want to make sure that everything is in check, everything is sound, everything is great, and it's ready for an upgrade. Once I've double-checked that, I know that my databases are in check. I know that I can upgrade the database. I know that I'm not going from 32 to 64-bit. Once everything is sound, then I want to start by upgrading Virtual Center Server. Virtual Center Server is the first component that goes. Once you upgrade Virtual Center Server, then I want to make sure that the client that I use to access Virtual Center is also updated and upgraded. So I want to go through and update or upgrade the vSphere client for that matter. I want to then make sure that I have my proper licensing in order. I like to make sure the licensing is already installed. It's ready to accept the hosts. Licensing is good. Life is good, right? After that, Update Manager. If you're using Update Manager, then Update Manager goes next. Make sure you upgrade that to version 5.0. Once that's done, you can either use Update Manager to upgrade your ESX and ESXi hosts, or you can just upgrade your ESX and ESXi hosts manually, or if you're using auto deploy. So there's a couple of different methods by which you can deploy vSphere 5. So again, you can either use Update Manager to do the upgrade for you. You can do the upgrade manually. Maybe you choose to do a fresh install of vSphere 5 or ESXi 5 for that matter, and not go through an upgrade process. Once everything is done, you want to go through the upgrade of the VM tools and the VM hardware. So we have a new hardware version, version 8. Now, the VM hardware isn't a requirement. It's not a necessity that you upgrade. Again, hardware version 8 of the hardware gives you access to specific things, new things that we talked about in the What's New videos and others. Things like, up to a terabyte of memory, up to 1 million IOPS, 32 vCPUs, all that good stuff comes with the VM hardware, USB 3.0 support, all that good stuff comes with the upgrade of the VM hardware. So if you have a need for it, might as well upgrade it. In my opinion, you can do it over time, you can do it slowly. There's really no urgency to it unless there's a technical requirements that dictates it. From a VM tools perspective, I'm personally a big fan of the VMware tools. I like to upgrade them right away just because of stability and the new enhancements, better drivers, whatever. But there is really no compelling reason. There is no requirement to upgrade. One of the benefits of vSphere 5 is that the VMware tools, the support matrix for them is very, very high. So VMware tools from 4.1 are very supported on 5, and from 5 are supported on 4.1. So they're backward compatible, but they're also frontward compatible, so to speak. So the VMware tools, upgrade them. Just don't feel that there's an immediate need to upgrade them right away. Now finally, there is a data store upgrade from VMFS 3 to VMFS 5. Now, technically, this upgrade isn't intrusive, so you can do it in production. I don't recommend just because, but it is a non-intrusive upgrade that you can do that is very seamless. I wouldn't schedule downtime. However, I would choose a maintenance window that you have for the environment. I would make sure that I have proper backups of all the virtual machines on the data store that I'm about to upgrade. And then I would do the upgrade one at a time. Make sure that the upgrade goes smooth to VMFS 5. Your virtual machines are powered back on, and then you can continue on with the upgrade that way. All right, the upgrade to Virtual Center 5. So Virtual Center 5 is 64-bit only Virtual Center, just the same, as with 4.1. So depending on where you're upgrading from and what Virtual Center version you're at, that will dictate how you get to 5. So if you're using, for example, a 32-bit database and you decide you want to go to a 64-bit database, then you want to make sure you're backing up the database, you're creating a new database, you're restoring your data into that new database, and then you have Virtual Center connect to it, and bada bing, bada boom, you're now on a new host, new Virtual Center, etc. So you might not be able to upgrade Virtual Center 5 in place if your Virtual Center that you're coming from is on 32-bit, so in that case you would have to move the server to a 64-bit operating system. So it does require downtime. There is no production downtime, however, because Virtual Center, again, it doesn't affect the ESXi host, so it doesn't affect the virtual machines, but Virtual Center itself won't be accessible for the time of the upgrade. Now again, I wouldn't do this during production hours. I would schedule downtime and make sure I have proper backups. If the Virtual Center is a VM, I would make sure I have proper backup of that VM, of the database, before I even try and initiate the upgrade process. Now again, the database schema is going to be upgraded, so again, I want to make sure you have a good backup of your database before you even attempt to do this. I want you to upgrade the different virtual, if you're upgrading to a different Virtual Center server, then again, you'll need that backup database because you're going to restore it. And if you have a DBA in the environment, I would leverage their help going from 32 to 64-bit databases if you need to. The different components that are tied into Virtual Center, I want you to uninstall these first before you upgrade. So if you have guided consolidation, converter, update manager, all of those components, I want you to uninstall them from control panel. Now keep in mind, there are two things that you have to uninstall for each of them, right? So you're uninstalling the component itself. If all of them are installed on vCenter, like if update manager is on the same server as vCenter, I want you to uninstall the update manager engine, but I also want you to uninstall the update manager extensions for the vSphere client. So you'll see two entries in the control panel for Update Manager, one for the engine and one for the extension. And the same thing with converter and anything to do with guided consolidation. I want you to also remove that before you even try an upgrade if you're doing an upgrade to vCenter 5. Now call me crazy, but anytime there's a new version of ESX or vSphere in general, I like fresh installs. I don't like upgrades for whatever reason. I like to keep the database. I want to upgrade the database. But I like fresh installs. I don't want to have to deal with reminiscence of whatever's left behind. I don't want to deal with that from an ESXi, ESX perspective, or Virtual Center perspective. But that's just me. You can take it or leave it. Now, from a database compatibility perspective, I want you to consult the vSphere compatibility matrices. Again, you can Google that. It's a PDF that you download. And make sure to look at the version of the database that you're on and what version is supported and the upgrade path to that. So that's going to be very important. But for the most part, if you're going from 32-bit to 64-bit, a backup and restore, as long as you know how to maneuver through that, should be just fine. All right, Update Manager upgrade. So I want you to take a good, again, backup is going to be key here. So take a good backup of the Update Manager database. Or if you're like me, you're probably going to uninstall Update Manager and just reinstall Update Manager fresh and not have to worry about the database or any of that stuff because, hey, I like my stuff new. And Update Manager isn't that big of a component where I need to back up the database and conserve the stuff that's in it. But depending on your environment, I don't want to dictate how you guys are doing it. Best practice will say back up your database. Make sure you have a good backup. I would personally do a backup of the database, keep it on the side, create a new database, and start Update Manager fresh. You obviously want to uninstall the Update Manager client extensions, as I mentioned to you before as well. ESX, ESXi upgrade. So here's my argument for this one. ESXi is a small footprint. You can probably install ESXi in about 15 minutes. If you're using auto deploy, maybe even quicker. Is an upgrade really worth it? Some people will say sure. In my opinion, well, no. I mean, there's really nothing on ESXi that's worth keeping, right? You bring up another ESXi, you take a good host profiles off of it, and then the next ones that you're bringing up, you just apply that host profile, and you can be up and running very quickly. Put the host in maintenance mode. It requires downtime, so make sure you evacuate all the virtual machines off of that host, put it in maintenance mode, rebuild that host. If you need to, take it out of Virtual Center, rebuild the host into a new ESXi 5, add it back to your cluster, take it out of maintenance mode, allow virtual machines to migrate to it, take another one out, and restart the process all over again. Now, if you didn't want to do this, Eli, I don't like your idea, I want to upgrade, well then the same media that you use to do a fresh install, you can use that same media to do an ESX or ESXi upgrade for that matter. If you're upgrading ESX, it's going to wipe out the whole thing and reinstall it anyway. If you're doing an ESXi, it's going to upgrade it, and we're going to go through a sample upgrade a little later on. All right, VM upgrade. So again, it requires downtime at the VM, at the virtual machine level. So plan for that accordingly. VMware tools would need to be upgraded. The VMware hardware, the VM hardware would also have to be upgraded to version 8 if you wanted to go to that route. You can do automated upgrade via Update Manager if you choose to schedule that, and then you can do manual upgrades if that doesn't work for you through Update Manager. All right, let's get this upgrade going. So we're on our Virtual Center server here. It's my Virtual Center 4.1. I have Update Manager also installed on here. I have ESXi 4.1 also installed on here. And we got a VM just so we can see how we do the hardware and the tools upgrade and all that good stuff. All right, so first thing I want to start with is I want to upgrade Virtual Center. Now, everything in my case is on the server, but from a database update perspective, it really doesn't matter because the upgrade will go through the ODBC and upgrade the schema and all of that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to close out of here, and I need to go into my control panel and remove any kind of extensions that I have for the particular third-party tools or the VMware third-party stuff that I might have installed. And in my case, I have the Update Manager, so I want to make sure I'm removing the Update Manager extensions for the vSphere client. And this is exactly what I'm talking about now. If you have Converter, you probably have another one. If you have guided consolidation anywhere here, you probably want to remove it first. So I'm going to go ahead and do an uninstall here. Now, once that's gone, I've already copied the Virtual Center 5 bits onto my desktop. So I'm just going to double click on here, and we're going to go into the auto run. I'm going to close the background here. All right, so from the auto run menu, the first thing that I want to do is I want to select under utility here. I want to go with the vCenter host agent pre-upgrade checker, and then I'm going to click on install here. It's going to install a small utility, very quick installation, which will allow me to then double check if all the requirements are met, so to speak, and I'm going to show you how to do that real quick here. All right, once it runs, then we're going to get to the welcome screen. I'm just going to select next. From the drop-down menu for DSN here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the 64-bit VMware Virtual Center database. We're going to go ahead and use the Virtual Center credentials. I click on Next. You can choose if you want it to go with standard mode for scan all hosts for failures, or do more of a custom one. I'm just going to go with the standard one for now. Again, go Next all the way. And then I'm going to click on Run Pre-Check. When it's done, we're going to click on Next. And you'll see that I have ESX here, 1 that has passed from an upgrade perspective. And if you wanted to look at the report, you can click on that as well, and it would give you, ask me later, Internet Explorer. Whoops. The beauty of Microsoft. Give you a quick report on what it found, etc., etc. So that being said, what I'm going to do now is, and this is how you can run it, and you can run this against Update Manager and against more vCenter, all that good stuff. So I'm going to just click on Next here, and then we're going to click on Finish. So this utility is available to you if you wanted to use it. Now let's move on with the installation or the upgrade of vCenter server. So I'm going to select it up here, and we're going to click on Install, and I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. Oh, my beautiful welcome screen. So you'll see that on your welcome screen, there's an informational message here that says that there's an earlier version of vCenter on the server, and that will be upgraded to version 5. So what I'm going to do is click on Next, and we're just going to next our way. I'm not going to enter the license key at this point. Again, you can enter it here or you can enter it later. We've shown you in other lessons how to do that. So I'm just going to click on Next to continue. DSN and the ODBC drivers, all the good stuff here. Double check that everything's okay. And this is basically complaining about the extensions for Upgrade Manager that they're installed on the server. We've removed some of them. I haven't removed the engine. It's incompatible with vCenter. I understand that. We're going to click on OK here. We are going to upgrade existing Virtual Center server database. I have taken a backup and the precautionary measures. I want to do an automatic upgrade for the agent upgrade here. I want to use the system account, default directories, all the default ports, HTTPS port, server management, etc. Unless you're changing those, you can leave them as is. We're going to continue here, and let's go through with this upgrade. And voila, we now have upgraded to vCenter 5. I'm going to click on Finish. And now let's go through and do the same thing with the vSphere client. We're going to click on Next here. Very similar to what we did before, but we're going to go through it again. And we're going to click on Finish. All right, now let's move on to Update Manager. So I'm going to click on Update Manager down here, and let's go through and install that, also upgrade that before we actually go into Virtual Center so that it does not complain. It detected the earlier version. Click OK to upgrade to version 5.0. We're going to click on OK. Here it's saying, do you want to delete the old host upgrade files? Yes, I do want to delete them, but I don't want you to download any of the new updates. That's going to take too much time. So I'm just going to uncheck this. In your environment, you probably want to keep it checked. I'm going to click on Next. All the default information here, you're giving it access to Virtual Center, and then obviously a username and password that can link this installation to Virtual Center. DSN, ODBC connection, everything is good. We're going to click on Next. I want to upgrade my Update Manager database. I have done a backup. all defaults here unless you want to change anything, and install. It's elegant. It's saying that it needs to reboot my computer. I'm going to say OK. It needs to update files that cannot be updated while the computer is running, blah, blah, blah. Those are probably open files, so we'll give it a reboot when the time comes. We're going to click on Finish. And that's that from an installation perspective of Update Manager. So right now, we upgraded Virtual Center to 5. We upgraded our vSphere client to 5. We've upgraded Update Manager to 5. We can give this machine a reboot, and then we can log into a Virtual Center and install the plugin for Update Manager and just take a quick walk through there. All right, so I'm going to double click on the icon here. Click on Login. Let's go ahead and log in and take a look at what's going on. And voila, we have now upgraded to vCenter 5. My host is still in there. Update Manager is in there. Now to install Update Manager, the plugin, I'm sure you've seen this before, but it's still in the same place. We're going to add that extension right back. That way, if we wanted to use Update Manager to upgrade our ESXi, in my case 4.1 to 5, I could use Update Manager. If I wanted to use Update Manager to upgrade the VMware tools in the VM hardware to version 8, I can do that as well using Update Manager. Once the extensions are finished, we're going to go ahead and ignore the connection from Update Manager to Virtual Center. Click Close. And you can already see that I have an Update Manager tab here. And if I go to Home, again, I have Update Manager down here as well. Now, in order for me to associate Update Manager with a particular image, we haven't downloaded anything in. While you can do that, of course, to upgrade the hosts and the virtual machines, call me old school, but I'd like to upgrade my ESX host when I'm looking at them, unless I'm using something like an auto deploy. But you can most certainly use Update Manager to do so. You could just come in here and attach the correct baselines that you want to attach. And it's the same process, right? So you can right click on it down here. You can come down to Scan for Updates. It'll probably try to go out and try to download upgrades. So here I'm selecting upgrade as well. You want to click on scan it. And voila. Now it's saying it's compliant just because, during the installation I didn't allow it to download any of the patches, so it doesn't know what else is out there. But once it downloads all the recent patches, it'll say that, hey, there's an upgrade that's pending here and this won't show as green anymore, and you'll be able to go out and remediate. What I want to do, however, is I want to install ESXi manually. I want to upgrade ESXi manually. Okay, and to do that, I've enlisted the help of VMware Workstation just so I can show you guys the console of ESXi and the upgrade process. So I'm going to take the mouse up here just so I can switch tabs to ESXi 4.1 so I can show you what we currently have. And you'll see this is your standard ESXi 4.1 installation for the most part. What I'm going to do now is we're going to actually go into it and we are going to reboot it. Now I already mounted the ISO, so as soon as this thing reboots, it should start the upgrade process to ESXi 5. And voila. Make sure you've evacuated all the virtual machines from the local VMFS, local data stores that you have. You've backed them up properly so that no matter what happens with this host, you're already, you have a backup plan. You're already good. So if it blows up, you can just freshly install it if you had to. And as you can see, the installation is very simple, very quick, very straightforward. There's really not much to it. You can consult the hardware compatibility list. When you're ready, you're going to click on Enter to continue, F11 to accept. You're going to select the disk where you want to install or upgrade this. And now you have three options on how you want to upgrade. Because I have a virtual machine on there, do you want to force migrate ESXi and preserve the VMFS data store? Or do you want to install ESXi, preserve VMFS data store? Or do you want to install ESXi, overwrite the VMFS data store? I want to go with the second one. I want to go with install ESXi, preserve VMFS data store. We're going to click on OK. US default is good for me. We're going to put in a root password here. Please don't ask me what mine is because I'm not going to tell you. Enter to continue. F11 to install. And voila, it's complete. Let's go ahead and click on enter here to reboot. And voila, ESXi has now been upgraded also to version 5. Now let's go back into Virtual Center and see what happened in there. Alright, so if I select my ESX1 host here, you'll see that it's been upgraded to ESX5 as well. So now all that I'm left with is my data store and my virtual machine. Now again, from a virtual machine perspective, you can always use Update Manager, and you can use Update Manager to upgrade not only the virtual machine hardware, but also you can use it to upgrade the virtual machines or VMware tools. So you can use it in both instances. And to do that, the easiest way to do that is if we go to VMs and templates here, and you can click on Update Manager, right click in there, attach, and then you can attach the policy or the baseline that you want. So for example, if you wanted to upgrade the hardware, you can do VM hardware upgrade, you can do VMware tools upgrade. Those are two baselines that you can immediately go with and update the different virtual machines that you want using VM or Update Manager. However, I'm going to do it again the manual way just to show you how it's done. Now from a VMware tools perspective, it's easy. Obviously you know how to do that, you've done that 100 times, but from a VMware hardware perspective, if you right click on FS01 here and you drag down to where it says update virtual hardware, and it gives you yeah we're upgrading blah blah blah, click on yes, and the upgrade is complete. If I come here to the summary window, you'll see that the VM version is now version 8. So it's either version 7 if it's with 4.1. If it's prior to version 4, it would be version 4. So the VM hardware goes 4.7.8, just so you guys know. So again, when you power on the virtual machine, you can also go to the VM on the guest menu, guest VMware tools, and you can upgrade the VMware tools that way. Now all that I have left is my data store, right? So if I click on ESX1 here, and then we go into the configuration, under storage, it will list the different data stores that I have. If you select that particular data store, and let's scroll down a little bit just to make sure that it's version 3, and I'm not cheating you guys. And you'll see that here it says VMFS 3.46. Now, in order to upgrade that, obviously the best practice, power down the virtual machines, migrate the virtual machines is the best thing. Make sure it's there's nothing on there. Do the regular backups, whatever you need to do from a precautionary measure perspective. When you're ready, however, you can click on Upgrade to VMFS 5. It's going to do a quick check. We're going to click on OK. And there you have it. It is now upgraded to version 5.54. So we've now completed the upgrade of our entire vSphere infrastructure, from Virtual Center to the vSphere client to Update Manager to the ESXi host to the virtual machines to the data stores. Every single component of the vSphere infrastructure has now been upgraded. So I'd like to congratulate you. Thank you for helping me wrap up this lesson. So let's go ahead and flip back to the presentation and recap what we've learned. All right, so by now you should have a very, very good idea on how to upgrade your existing environment to vSphere 5. During this lesson, I'm sure that it's been going in the back of your mind how what we're doing on screen and the stuff that we've been discussing in the lecture applies to you, what you can do, what you still need to research if there's anything in particular in your environment that you didn't see. For example, if you're still on, God forbid, on ESX or on ESX 2.5 update 6, how do you go to vSphere 5? That's definitely going to be a very research intensive operation, because there's a couple steps to get there. It's not difficult, but it is more challenging than going from 3 or 3.5 or 4 or 4.1 to 5. So again, I hope I covered as much as possible so that you can relate to what you have in the environment today. So what did we cover? We started off with the upgrade steps. What are the different upgrade steps that you need to take in order to upgrade this environment from 4, for the most part, to 5? And then we talked about, well, how do you upgrade Virtual Center 5 to Virtual Center 5? Well, what are the database requirements? How do you take care of the database? I mentioned to you that you need to look at the compatibility matrix to make sure that your database is supported, and how you move your stuff from 32-bit to 64-bit, all that good stuff. We talked about the fact that after you've upgraded Virtual Center and the vSphere client, then comes Update Manager. You need to update the engine that would then allow you to automate the upgrade and update of ESX, ESXi hosts in the environment, VM upgrades in the form of VM tools and VM hardware. So all of that stuff comes through Update Manager. We talked about the fact that you need to take a good backup of the Update Manager database if you plan on using that. We then moved on and talked about ESX, ESXi upgrade. I gave you my opinion, and that's, hey, start fresh, but you can always put the media of ESXi 5 and upgrade ESX or ESXi for that matter. Just make sure that you've taken the necessary precautions in order to back up all the virtual machines first, evacuate them to a different host, put the host in maintenance mode, take it out of Virtual Center if you need to, upgrade it, and start the whole process right back again. Then we talked about the fact that you have to upgrade the data stores also from VMFS 3 to VMFS 5 so that you can take advantage of a lot of the new features that are now available with VMFS 5, particularly 64 terabyte limitation. So you've upgraded from 2 to 64 terabyte, and a lot of the thin provisioning, automatic space reclamation, automatic free space reclamation that are also available with VMFS 5. So a lot of cool stuff there. We also talked about VM upgrade. What are the steps for VM upgrade? We talked about the fact that there's downtime, you have to upgrade the tools, you have to upgrade the hardware, so on and so forth. Finally, I hope this lesson was informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.